and I'm live right now. So this is going to be Osoroshii Saturday, and I'm going to start going international soon. But I thought I'd first start this off with one of my first episodes just being me showing you some of the sources that I use to find some of my creepy material and show you some of the creepy material from those sites. Right away, let's go to screen share. Let's see what's the best version of screen share to use. Maybe this one. Share entire screen. No, share. Yeah, share entire screen. Okay. All right, so right now you should be looking at an ever looping window. And what I'm going to do is go back to Google here. Bring that back up. Okay. You should see my Google Plus page right now. So first, let's start off with Saya in Underworld. Now this site is creepy. Saya is extremely introverted. I've actually personally talked to her on Twitter quite a few times. Very nice person, but incredibly introverted. She does not like to share a lot of her stories on there. I've had to message her for quite a few stories. And then there's the reason I actually met Saya was because I used a story of hers from a different website called Occult, which in just Japanese for occult. And why is my internet taking so long to load? And after I did that, she messaged me. She's like, "Why did you use this from my site without asking me?" And I was like, "Actually, I used it from this website." And then she realized that that website had copied hers, and she messaged them and got angry. But then we got to talking, and luckily the anger wasn't directed at me anymore because she realized I had just used it from a different site that had copied hers. Saya in Underworld, very basic, almost looks like LiveJournal, if you guys remember that, if you're as old as me. It's just a blogger.com. It's one of those kind of blogs. I think I have it saved. Okay, so here we go. Cryptic story. See, whenever these say cryptic story, it's some kind of puzzle, and I really don't like those. That's why you don't see a story every week from this site. I don't want to do cryptic stuff because cryptic stuff is interesting. It's not really too scary, but it's more like solve a mystery. And I mean, that's cool, but it's not really that scary to me. Maybe it's scary to some people, like being unable to solve why something happened. Homecoming, 8 years ago, Golden Week. I had just graduated from university and was working and living alone in Tokyo. It was my first GW since I began working. That just means Golden Week. Golden Week is a week of time off in Japan, a holiday that is 1 week off. Let me click the read more so that we don't have to suddenly click that mid-sentence. So Golden Week is a time you have off. Like we have Oban Week coming up now, starting for me today. Golden Week also happens during about summertime. Maybe you'd say it's springtime, really. And it's a lovely little week of days that line up in a row that are public holidays that everybody gets off. It's really quite lovely. Traffic is hell, though, during that time. I decided to go back to my hometown in Tochigi. I decided to drive, but on my way caught in a traffic jam that totally drained me out, and I had to stop and take a break at a rest area. Rest areas in Japan are beautiful. They're so clean, and there's these amazing konbinis there. It's pretty incredible. When I arrived, I immediately felt very unpleasant. Heavy air surrounded the house. Oh, I'm sorry, I totally skipped a huge sentence here. See, this is what happens when you go live. I decided to drive, but got caught up in a traffic during. Oh God, here we go, Scott. You're back to reading the same sentence. I am so sorry, guys. I got caught up in a traffic jam that totally drained me, and I had to stop and take a break at a rest area. Because of all that, when I finally arrived home, it was already 10 in the evening. When I arrived, I immediately felt very unpleasant. I would say uneasy would be a better translation, but whatever. She's done an amazing job. Don't look the gift horse in the mouth. Heavy air surrounding the house. I'm sort of person who doesn't believe in ghosts or any sort of thing, and I have no psychic power whatsoever. But I could feel that the atmosphere had a certain quality that could be best described as quote-unquote evil. But at the time, I simply wrote it off as a silly feeling born out of exhaustion and walked straight into the house. My parents were still up and welcomed me home. For a while, we just sat there and chatted about random things, such as my workplace. They said something like, "You should stay here with us permanently." And at that time, I only felt that I was touched, thinking they were very concerned about me. However, the ominous air was still bothering me, and as I was also exhausted from the journey, I decided to go to bed early. Once in my room, I tried my best to fall asleep, but couldn't. I was thinking in my bed, something doesn't feel right. Something feels odd. It was already around 1 after midnight. The lights in the sitting room were off, and my parents too seemed to have gone to bed. I began to feel thirsty, so I went to the kitchen and opened the fridge, hoping to find something to drink. It was then that I noticed a horrible stench. I wondered what it was and tried to switch on the light, but somehow it wasn't working. I had no choice but to use the light from my mobile phone to examine the fridge and found that all the food inside was rotten. All the use-by dates showed that everything had already expired nearly 5 years ago. Dang, you need to clean your refrigerator out. I had a bad feeling about it, and when I went to my parents' bedroom to get some explanation from them, I did not find the bedroom empty, but I did not only find the bedroom empty, but I also found no trace of them having ever slept there. That's no good. What was more, it's always a common translation. It's like saying henceforth. There's a word in Japanese, I think like, it's like, what is it? Shikashi? And it's like, however. They constantly use that when it gets into a translation. What was more, the room was extremely dusty and looked as though no one had used it for many years. Instinctively, I knew I was in danger and that I had to get the hell out of this place ASAP. So I immediately packed up my luggage and ran to my car. Just before starting the car, I glanced at the rearview mirror and spotted my parents standing there. I quickly drove away. I have a feeling that they were not really my parents. And the house, too, was perhaps ellipses, 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 ellipses. Okay. The next thing I knew, I had again arrived at the same rest area that I had stopped at on the way home. I decided to get some shut-eye. Good choice. When I opened my eyes, it was past noon. I wanted to get back to Tokyo at once, but before that time, I called home just to make sure everything was okay. My mother answered the phone. I asked her about yesterday, and she said I had never been home. Well, that sucks. I wondered if I had been dreaming and fearfully drove back home again, but this time the house evoked no strange feelings in me like before. And inside the house was all normal. It was my old home as it had always been. I chatted with my parents for a while before returning to Tokyo on the same day. On the way back home, I got a call on my mobile phone. It appeared to be from my mother, but she sounded strange. I also sensed the unpleasant evil air that I felt before. Come back, she said, without knowing what I was doing. I hung up and turned off my mobile phone. It was extremely disturbing. To this day, I have no idea whether I dreamed this whole thing or not. But since that time, I rarely go back home. That kind of sucks. There's a huge divide between you and your parents now because of ghost parents. These are the things I actually think when I read these stories. Now you're hearing them out loud. Okay, so like I said, this is the international version that we're starting up with Osoroshii Saturday. As you can see that probably in the title, it says Osoroshii Saturday International. So let's go to something international. Like, here's a new one I've been using recently. Thought Catalog. Man, this site is good, dude. Some users sent me some stuff from this before. There's some creepy stuff on this website, and some very decent writers. This isn't your little brother's creepypasta page. That's the best way to describe it. Speaking of creepypastas, while I look up a good here we go, creepy catalog. While I look up a good creepy story to read. What? How did it go to Facebook? Wait, is something going crazy? Okay, everybody watching this with me, right? I'm clicking creepy catalog, which should be the section of this thought catalog that has creepy stories. And it goes to Facebook. The link you have followed has expired. Oh no, is thought catalog defunct? No, it's just one bad. That is a really unprofessionally bad link, thought catalog. You need to fix that severely. Your main hot link for the creepy catalog, which should take us to that index of creepy stories, instead goes to logging into Facebook. Yeah, I might want to fix that up. Moon-worshipping witch slaughters a woman and her two sons. 14 surprisingly good horror movies. 8 terrifying true crime books. Well, see, I want to look at the full index, but guess what? I can't now because popular. Maybe it'll give me the most popular scary story. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I'm definitely afraid of cakes after what's been happening to me. I don't know. I thought of this whole scenario as soon as I read that like it's like an LGBT thing calling these cake companies that won't cook a cake for them, and like this is the horror story. I mean, I'm totally pro LGBT. I support all my gay, lesbian, and transgender friends, but it just that story right there made me think right away of a person calling like, "Can you make me a gay cake for my gay wedding?" No. Oh my god. These are the kind of things that go through my mind. I'm just saying them out loud. Okay. Good Night, Mommy is the scariest thing you'll watch today. Let's go watch it together. Good Night, Mommy is the scariest thing you'll watch today. 2 twin brothers wait for their mother to come home after her cosmetic surgery, but something doesn't seem right. Oh my god, this looks creepy as hell. We are watching this now. How long is this? It's 2 minutes. Oh, we are watching this. How's the sound? Is sound not loud enough? You guys probably can't hear it. Oh my god. Where is this? This is like the 1970s? Eh? What country is this? Gets under your skin early and stays there. What the hell? Somebody tell me what language this is. She's already beautiful. Why? Oh! What? What the hell? Whoa, whoa, whoa. Oh! What? Oh! Wow. German? Oh. Good night, Mommy. The next suggested movie is a Lego brick documentary. Is that also going to be one of the scariest movies of the summer? Wow. There we go. That looks creepy. Okay, guys, see, look. This is what that creepy catalog link was supposed to go to. Something is very, very wrong, but I can't tell exactly what's going on. What's really going on during hypnosis? I've got my kids in another room today, so you shouldn't hear any giant loud sounds. Hopefully they behave themselves. I have a window, though, on the room, so I can see what they're doing, if you're wondering if I watch my kids while I do this. Yes, I do. I went to the haunted field I've been dreaming about, but I never should have gone there. Ah, that sounds interesting. Let's read this. These do tend to be pretty long, so Let's take a look. This doesn't look insanely long. All right, let's get started. This is called, let me read the whole title. These thought catalog titles are like stories in themselves. I went to the haunted field I've been dreaming about, but I never should have gone there. By M.J. Pack. I've been dreaming about it for a few weeks. A guy I went to high school with told me about the place. I don't know, maybe 11 years ago? I didn't know him very well, but I was the girl who liked spooky shit, so Sean pulled me aside during chemistry class and told me there was an abandoned field down by the old industrial complex. It's totally haunted, he said earnestly. A long time ago, right before the factories were built, there was a little school there. The field was its playground. Supposedly, something really bad happened and all the kids died during playtime. Right there, in that field. What happened? I asked, hooked from the get-go. There's a lot of different stories. Sean was keeping a wary eye on our elderly professor, who might figure out we weren't exactly filling out our periodic table worksheets. Some people say it was a psychopath. Just went through the playground and blew them away one by one. Others say there was an explosion at one of the factories. Wait, I thought you said it was before the factories were built. He waved me off, the way you'd shoo a fly. So, what goes on down there? Periodic table be damned, I had to find out more about this place. I don't know. Haunted shit, he said vaguely. I heard people who go down there lose their minds. My older brother told me about it, and I knew you'd want to hear. I did. I did want to hear. More importantly, I wanted to go there. But I didn't have a car yet, and there was no way my parents would let me go somewhere like that, especially at night, which of course was the only way to go to places that were haunted shit goes down. But before Sean could continue, crotchety Mr. Christopher caught us in the act, and we had to return to our stupid old worksheets in silence. I don't know what happened between then and now. Maybe a boy caught my attention, or I had to buckle down and study after failing the test on the periodic table, or more than likely I was a dumb scatterbrained teenager and I just forgot about it. I graduated, moved away to college, did the whole grow up and get a real job thing. It sucked. I bobbed along on the sea of life, marginally succeeding at my desk job until one day deciding I'd had enough. I couldn't sit through one more meeting that could have been an email. So I quit. I went to Starbucks and I sat there with my rapidly cooling latte and just wondered what the fuck I was going to do with myself. I was 27, young enough to change the course of everything, but at the same time not getting any younger. It was at that moment I knew my one chance to do what I wanted. And what did I want to do? What had I always wanted to do? If I was really honest with myself, I wanted to be a paranormal investigator. Don't laugh, it's a real thing. I've always been fascinated by the darkness, the so-called quote unquote other side, but I never had an actual experience. I wanted that experience. That was my moment. I had enough saved up in the bank to invest in some decent equipment, digital recorders, EMF reader, thermal camera, spirit box, and I put an ad on Craigslist looking for a partner. And responded right away. And we started Girls Gone Ghostly, Paranormal Investigation. Hey, don't blame me. That's the name Anne made up. Over the last 2 years, we built up a reputation for ourselves. We went all over the country, once to a Scottish castle in search of paranormal proof. And you know what? We hadn't found a fucking thing. Not one thing. But that's just it. The money is great. People pay exorbitant amounts of cash to have us come out with our equipment and figure out what's been going bump in the night. And Girls Gone Ghostly, well, we won't lie to you. We won't sugarcoat it. The wailing you hear in your basement is a faulty water heater. When you catch fleeting scent of old tobacco, it's your neighbor smoking a cigar on his front porch. The cabinets that keep popping open, they're just shitty fucking cabinets. Your house is 100 years old. Buy new cabinets, you idiot. That's why we make them pay up front. But then a few weeks ago, the dream started. Nothing much happened in them. I was just standing there alone on the top of a hill, dry, bleached grass under my feet, staring down at a little patch of fenced-off land, a little field. All around me towered ancient, monstrous factories. That was it. Just me, staring at this field. And then I'd wake up. I found myself thinking about it more and more, wondering what the dream could mean, when out of nowhere I remembered that afternoon with Sean in Mr. Christopher's chemistry class. It was the haunted field, the one Sean had told me about. It had to be. I blew off some whiny old lady who was convinced that her childhood doll was possessed because, yeah, sure, it is, and scheduled a trip to my hometown. I told Anne we had a freelance project, went vague on details, and asked her to pack up our gear in her little PT Cruiser. It took us a few days to get there, and every night I dreamt of the field. When we arrived at the industrial complex, Anne realized she had forgot her spirit box. It's this little thing, kind of looks like a handheld radio, and it's got all sorts of words and an electronic bank inside. Spirits are supposed to use the energy to pull the words they want to communicate. Like I said, this is all bullshit, but it's my favorite because sometimes it says the most random stuff and makes us laugh. We need the spirit box, I said, hauling the rest of our shit out of the car. I don't do sessions without that. That thing is hilarious, especially when I'm bored. You're always bored, Anne fired back, not missing a beat. So true. Go back to the hotel and grab it. I'll just get started alone. Anne chanced a quick look around the place. It was almost midnight. Are you sure? You're kind of out here in the opening. There could be like homeless guys or something. I flashed her the mini can of mace on my keychain. I'll be fine. Just get the spare box and come back. I paused. We might actually get something this time. Because of your dreams? Yeah, maybe. Anne turned the key and started up the car and looked at me again. Does it look like how you dreamt it? I glanced down the hill. The factories, the bleached grass, the little fenced off section, the field. Yeah, I said, then waved her goodbye. Go, hurry up. You won't want to miss anything good. I sat down on the grass on the top of the hill and started unpacking my gear. It really did look exactly like how I had dreamt it, but I was unfazed. For all I knew, I had seen a picture of it somewhere. On the internet, maybe. In this line of work, you learn pretty quickly that most things people chalk up to miracles or paranormal activity are just coincidences. Boring old coincidences with nothing more. I was turning on the thermal cam when I saw it. A flicker of movement just beyond the rusty old road closed signs near the factory, in the field, behind the fence. Quickly, I aimed the thermal I had seen. The screen remained dark, no spots of heat in sight. Fuck, I said, then waved my hand in front of it. My fingers glowed red hot orange and yellow at the edges. The camera was working. Probably a plastic bag or something, I muttered. Then I saw the movement again, much too big to be a plastic bag. I waved the camera over the spot. Nothing. I got to my feet, shouldering the bag of gear, and began walking down the hill. Don't worry, I didn't yell out hello or anything because I'm not an idiot in a horror movie. I'm a very different kind of idiot. As I got closer to the fence, my heart began to pound. Was this it? Was I finally going to have my experience that I'd always wanted? Wash away my cynicism with a real brush-in with the paranormal? You can imagine my disappointment when I got close enough to see that it wasn't as I'd hoped. It was Sean from chemistry class, the one who told me about the place to begin with. He was standing there, staring at me with a slack, blank face. Right away, something felt wrong. Sean? I called out. His expression didn't change. Oh, hey, Margot, he said dully. Put the thermal can back in my bag. What the fuck are you doing here, man? I asked, threading my fingers through the chain link fence that separated us. I couldn't really see how he'd gotten in. The whole area was sectioned off and didn't seem to have a gate. I haven't seen you since high school. I told you about this place, didn't I? His freckled brow furrowed slightly. I think you were the last one I told. Yeah, you told me about it. That's why I'm here. I do paranormal investigations now. I thought you've been dreaming about it, he said. How did he know that? What are you doing in there, Sean? I asked. How did you get in there? I went after graduation, he said, in the same dull tone, one that sounded like he was hypnotized or something. I got drunk. and I wanted to go, but no one wanted to go with me, so I came here by myself. I've been dreaming about it. Felt like I had to. Do you want me to get someone? I felt around in my bag for a cell phone. I can call someone for help. No help, he said, and seemed to pause and think. That's right. You were the last one I told about this place. That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. Sean started walking towards me. I stopped digging and put my fingers lightly on the mini can of mace. Are you drunk, Sean? I asked, trying to keep my voice calm. Why the fuck had I sent Anne to leave me by myself? No, he answered, still walking towards me with a slow, measured gait. Haven't been drunk in a long time. Long time. What took you so long, Margot? What took you so long to get here? He pressed his face up against the chain link fence between us. I took a panicked step backwards, and suddenly I realized what was wrong. I had recognized Sean because he looked exactly like he did in high school. Same mess of red hair, same gap in his front teeth, same pudgy face that I hadn't lost its baby fat yet. But that wasn't right because it had been 11 years since I'd seen him, right? What's going on here? I said, rapidly losing my fight to appear unafraid. It gets in your head, Sean whispered. Even if you leave, you don't leave. Not really, not ever. Bad juju, man. Bad juju, just like I told you. I began backing away slowly. I pulled the mace out of my bag and held it in front of me. Don't come any closer, I said. But that was unnecessary, because he was behind the fence, and I wasn't. It only took me 2 weeks. Sean went on like I hadn't even spoken. 2 weeks, and every night the dreams got worse. Then it wasn't even when I was dreaming, it was when I was awake. I glanced over my shoulder to look for Anne's blue PT Cruiser, and when I looked back, Sean was standing right in front of me. I was taken so off guard I tripped over my own numb feet and fell onto the prickly bleached grass. My bag overturned and gear scattered everywhere. Sean just stood there. They tore down the schoolhouse after, he continued. I don't know who put up the fence, but the schoolhouse, it was right over there. He pointed to an empty square of land adjacent to the fenced-off field. Margot, they screamed. They screamed when he did it. He shot their legs first so they didn't get away. Then he went around, one by one, and picked them off. They were easy, like drowning a bag of puppies. But they screamed, and I kept hearing them scream. Sean's lips finally split into a smile, showing me that gap between his teeth. It wasn't a nice smile. I got pills from my mom's room. She took a lot of pills, see, and I never threw them away, even if she didn't need them. I swallowed as many as I could and just slipped away. He made a flowing motion with his hand, like a boat bobbing on the ocean. What he was saying, it didn't make any sense. I tried scrambling backwards, not wanting to take my eyes off him, but he just followed me. I thought that was how I could just make it stop, he said, but instead I ended up here. That's what it wants, you know, the field once more. He didn't get enough the first time, but now you're here, so I think I can go. He stopped grimacing and looked just past me at the hill. I descended. Can I go now, please? What the fuck are you talking about? I whispered. Him, Sean said and pointed. Sure, a gravelly voice said from behind me. Always preferred girlies. Much prettier. Get out of here, you freckled fuck. Seen enough of your face anyway. Sean closed his eyes and then he was gone. I began to turn towards the sound of the voice, and suddenly there was a flicker in the darkness right in front of my face. A weight descended on me, and all at once I couldn't breathe. There was someone on top of me and I couldn't breathe. My vision went hazy for a moment, then cleared as the pressure let up. It was a man, probably late 30s, if I had to guess, with wild dark hair, stubble. Gonna have to stop for a second, guys. My son just fell over. Hey, bud. Come here, come here. Let's see where we're at right here. Let me save my spot so we don't get lost. All right, good, good, good. 1 second, guys. Be right back. Those two fighting. My sons being bad boys. All right, where was I here? It was a man, probably in his late 30s, if I had to guess, with wild dark stubble spread pretty unevenly across his chin and upper lip. One eye was black and the other milky white. His shirt was a ragged, ancient-looking thing, like he stepped out of a yellowed mugshot. He was grinning. "Get the fuck off me," I gasped, grabbing wildly for my can of mace. The man seized me by the wrist and pinned my arms above. "Funny," he grunted. "Usually can't get this far inside their heads till someone has... Let me read this again. Funny," he grunted. "Usually can't get this far inside their heads till some time has passed. Definitely don't get to talk to them till they're on the other side. You gone looking for trouble, princess, is that it?" "Get the fuck off me," I repeated, tears of hysteria prickling at my eyes. "Ah, must be it. Princess gone looking for trouble, poor little thing. Well, you found it, princess. You sure did." I began screaming for help, and his grin just got wider. He shook his head a little like he was witnessing a naughty child with their hand in a cookie jar. "Oh no, princess. No one can hear you. We's alone out here, now that freckle face is gone. You're here to play. Won't that be fun? Have yourself a real good time in the playground." He paused and added, "But that's once you're behind the fence, of course." I inhaled deeply to scream again, and he placed a grimy palm over my mouth. I could smell something on his skin, like something old, smoky, like gunpowder. "I'm gonna let you go," he said, and I felt my limbs go limp with relief. "But not really." Freckleface told it right. He tapped my forehead with the tip of his index finger. "I'm in here now, real deep, deeper than I've ever been before, I reckon, 'cause you's looking harder than others." I stared at him, unable to do anything else. "You wanted this bad, didn't you, princess?" The man wondered aloud, then leaned his nose into the air and inhaled deeply. "Oh yeah, you wanted this real bad. I can smell it wafting off you." I shook my head. The movement was restricted slightly by his palm. After a moment, I thought. He took it off my mouth. "Please let me go," I begged softly. "Princess, I already told you. I was gonna let you go." He smiled again, revealing rows of blackened teeth. "Just not really. You'll go home. You'll leave this field. But not ever, not really. Won't be long till you hear the screams. You know why?" I stared at him, heart thudding, thick in my throat. He leaned close to me until we were almost touching noses and said, "Because screams were my favorite part." The tears welling up my eyes finally gave way and slid down my cheeks. He nodded, still smiling. "Yeah, now you're getting it, princess," the man said, then slapped his head up to look at something behind me. "What the hell are you doing on your back, Margot?" I twisted to look for the source of Anne's voice. She was standing in front of her PT Cruiser, spirit box in hand. When I turned back, the man was gone. "Anne," I choked, because that's all I could think to say. "Looking at the stars or something, you weirdo?" she demanded, and I knew she hadn't seen him. Anne clicked the spirit box. Immediately, it began to spit out the same word in its tiny electronic voice over and over. "Screams, screams, 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 screams." "Turn it off," I barked. And she did, an alarmed look on her face. "Okay, Jesus, what's your problem?" I got slowly to my feet, brushing dry grass off my ass, and began gathering the gear into my bag. My hands were shaking. "Nothing," I said quietly. "It's probably broken. Don't worry about it. Let's go back to the hotel." "Back to the hotel?" she echoed incredulously. "We fucking just got here." "Stay if you want to. I'm going back." I marched back to the car, head high, trying not to let her see how terrified I was. Well, Anne always does what I tell her to, so she followed me even though she was pissed. I'm so glad I didn't let her go down to the field. Sean and the man were right. It's only been 3 days since I got back from the field, and I'm already hearing screams at night. I see how it all went down. He just marched right down to the schoolhouse and began shooting. Teacher got it first, dead center in the middle of her forehead. Authority figure gone, he went after the children, shot as many as he could in the legs first, but then required some accuracy. So some of them got it in the neck and the back instead. Once the faster ones were down, he took his time, made the survivors watch until there weren't survivors anymore. He talks to me. I'm leaning on the fence that wasn't there, forced to watch the massacre as it unfolds, and he tells me things. How the kick of the gun felt so good, how watching the light go out of their eyes was better than sex, how he couldn't wait for me to be there with him. And maybe, just maybe, he'd let me do it a few times to see what it was like. He won't tell me why he did it. It's only been 3 days. Don't worry about me, I'll be okay. The last person I told about the field was Anne. And after I blow my brains out with the handgun, I'll keep it in my nightstand. She'll go back to it. She'll have to. Then he can have her and I can go. Except, of course, I suppose I talk to you. Maybe you're safe because you've never seen it. Maybe not. Maybe the description is enough. I don't really know how it works. I don't know how long it will take. All I know is you better hope Anne gets to the field before you do. Whew. That's pretty good. I hope everybody understands what went on in that story. I know I had to stop in the middle of it, so it kind of messed it up. So pretty much this woman is super interested in ghosts. She hears a ghost story when she's a kid and later pursues the paranormal in her adult life. When she does, she suddenly remembers that story she had been told when she was a kid about this haunted field. She's so obsessed with actually having a paranormal experience that she goes to this field and finds that the kid who told her about it is still there at the field and still the same age as he was when he talked to her in high school. He says he wants to escape from there and that the only way he can is if Anne takes his place. I'm sorry, not Anne, Margot. Margot takes his place. She doesn't understand exactly what that means, but as soon as he says that, the guy who actually murdered the school children at the schoolyard shows up in a ghostly form, I suppose, injects himself into her head via thought and I guess like psychic messages, control, however you want to describe it. It's sort of a metaphysical aspect that I don't think we can really describe. After which, I mean, it's slowly going to drive her insane. And pretty much the only way she can pass it on is until another person heads to the field and goes there. And she kind of leaves you with the message of saying, you better hope Anne gets there first before you, and she's the next person to be cursed by this. But I mean, it doesn't really make much sense because we don't know where this field is and we don't know how to get there. And after reading this whole story, why the hell would we want to go there? Anyway, that was a great international story that I could add on to this. I really had a lot of fun time reading that one. I actually have to go take my kids to Juku now, which is cram school in Japan. If you know what, if I have more time, I'll do more of these. Maybe today, maybe even later in the week. Here's the good thing about International Osoroshii. It doesn't have to be Osoroshii Saturday. I don't only do it on Saturday. So if you guys like this, if you want me to do more stuff like this where I just get online, find some of the creepy stuff I enjoy and read it to you, or we watch creepy stuff together, let me know. I'll continue to do it this way. Thanks so much for tuning in. Until next time, this was, should I do it on here? Should I do it like this? As we're about to stop sharing this? Osoroshii Saturday. Stop sharing. And we're dead? Not yet, still alive. Dead? Not yet, still alive. Dead? Not yet, still alive.